Welcome to the Flower Lounge, a place for conversations with wildly creative people and a little plant-loving wisdom to help you experience life in full bloom. I'm Katie Hess, flower alchemist and founder of LOTUSWEI, and I believe in a world where we're all living at our personal edge. Welcome to the Moonshine episode of the Flower Lounge. I am sitting here with Kristina Wingeier.
Hello.
Being here.
Thank you, Katie. It's good to see you in that beautiful wall.
Yeah, a new podcast room. And to think where we came from. I came from a little shed out back. Did you ever see that?
No, but I remember the closet.
Like the little shed with boxes everywhere. And yeah, now we're in a better space. So we're going to talk about October.
So strange that it's October already. I don't know. This year, do we always say that? But it really does feel like this year, just blink of an eye and it's almost behind us completely. Yeah, so October, the overview for October. Let's see, we've got all the personal planets are changing signs this month. That would be Mercury, Venus, and Mars. We will have a full moon in Aries mid-month. We will have a new moon in Scorpio at the end of the month. And this month in October, we move from this, we're in the Libra season, which is the relational, finding balance and equilibrium. And then we dive into Scorpio season. So I wrote down balance to extremes because it feels like that's that energy shift when the sun moves from Libra to Scorpio. We go from this really kind of nicey nice place into the underbelly. And we'll also have Mercury turning retrograde at the very end of the month. So we'll be dealing mostly with the retrograde next month, but we are going to start to see what that's about this month because right around the 10th or the 11th, Mercury will be in that shadow of the retrograde. So these are just some of the bigger kind of themes for the month.
Brush stroke,
baby. Okay, so first week, there's big news on the horizon. Pluto, our lord of the underworld, will be stationing direct after a 5-month retrograde. So Pluto is in Capricorn, along with our good friends, Saturn and the South Node. Well, the South Node is really a point in space, but for all purposes, we talk about the South Node as though the South Node is a thing. Sorry, I'm trying to get this chart to work. Okay, there we go. So Pluto stationing direct at 20 degrees Capricorn. Look at your charts. You've been reviewing very deeply. There's been a lot of, I feel like there's just been clearing out of the internal plumbing with the Pluto in Capricorn. That's where a lot of eclipses happened over the summer. And with Pluto stationing direct, it's time to implement the changes that you've been maybe pondering or kind of maybe even avoiding, right? And it's kind of like the closing of a chapter and the beginning of a new chapter with Pluto. And Pluto has many chapters in Capricorn because Pluto's in Capricorn for so many years. But these retrograde periods really are where we kind of go inward and downward and into the exploring, kind of reviewing places. And with Pluto, it's like that whole transformational energy that comes from death and rebirth, because Pluto, again, is the lord of the underworld. So that's, Pluto will be quite still for a while, but moving forward on the same day that Mercury goes into Scorpio. So this would be Wednesday. Wednesday is when Pluto turns direct. Mercury actually enters Scorpio on Thursday, but Pluto's turning direct in the East Coast on Thursday. So it's kind of I just think it's really interesting. Pluto stations direct, Mercury enters Scorpio. It's time I just think there's going to be some, as I was talking to you before the episode, some things coming up out of the woodwork, out of the darkness that have been hidden.
Sorry, I don't have a calendar. Can you tell me what the date is?
Mm-hmm. Pluto is direct on the West Coast on Wednesday the 2nd, East Coast on the 3rd, and then Mercury enters Scorpio on the 3rd, Thursday. The same day that Mercury, and also Mars enters Libra that day on the West Coast, and then on the East Coast, it happens on the 4th. So there's a lot of movement right away at the beginning of the month, a lot of shifting of signs. And Mercury moving into Scorpio Mercury is going to be here 3 times as long as usual, because Mercury is getting ready to go retrograde in Scorpio. So usually Mercury can kind of book through a sign in about 3 weeks, but we're really looking for like a 9-week Mercury situation. And it means that conversations are going to get deeper, more edgy, more intense communications. I feel like a lot of taboo topics might resurface. I wrote down trash talking. I feel like there might be a lot of like trash talking going on. And there's just like digging into the underbelly. That's what planets do in Scorpio. That's what Scorpio energy wants to do, is kind of get underneath things and really examine things. And it doesn't mind getting into the mud or the dirt, to like even the trash and the garbage and all that. It's very, it's just kind of like that. So Mercury moving into Scorpio, I would just say everybody find out where Scorpio is in your chart, because that's going to help you understand where this energy is showing up in your life. Remember, Mercury is about not just communications, but about the way you think. Mercury is about movement, so travel and things like that. Mercury is about money, with the movement of money, commerce, okay? Pluto also is connected to money, because Pluto being lord of the underworld, that's where all the riches come from, like the metals and things like that, and the resources from the earth. So, I would look at that Scorpio in your chart and see that area is going to get a lot of action by mid-October, by the end of the month, and certainly into November, right? So that's happening. And then simultaneously, of course, or, within a few hours, whatever, Mars enters Libra. So Mars is moving out of Virgo, where Mars has been very productive for like 6 weeks. Mars was the last hanger on at the Virgo party. Everybody else left, and Mars was like, like sitting there just like, we got more work to do, right? We're still working, right? I mean, it's just been that way. And so Mars moving into Libra, traditionally, this is considered a difficult placement for Mars, because Mars likes to be assertive and dynamic, and Libra is Venus's turf, and it's much more about harmony and balance and diplomacy. And so there's this, feeling more about like maybe forging alliances, looking for conflict resolution, instead of, trying to find the energy to fight, because it really may not be there, or the energy to be super assertive. It's a good time to just notice that. And if you're feeling frustrated while Mars is in Libra for about 6 weeks, it might feel like you're not getting things done as quickly as you want, or, just not feeling the drive that you had when Mars was in Virgo, perhaps. And so you shift your focus with Mars then. It's more about, again, alliances and conflict resolution, and it's going to slow Mars down a little bit, energetically speaking, if that makes sense. Does that make sense to you?
It does. Kind of a bummer. I love drive.
I do too. See, I have a natal Mars in Libra, so I've had to deal with it my whole life until my progressed Mars moved into Scorpio a few years ago, and things are shifting, hence the dance class. But in any event, because Mars is very strong, right? So, but that's just what's happening. It's just what's happening, and there's a lot of shifting right there as we get into the month, the 3rd, the 2nd, the 3rd, and the 4th, with the Pluto, the Mercury, and the Mars. And it's interesting too, because Mars is the traditional ruler of Scorpio, where Mercury will be for 9 months, and Pluto is the modern ruler of Scorpio. So it just somehow is all tying together, right? There's something, a way that this is all kind of connected, right? For you, the collective. And yeah.
Who decided who was ruler of what? Like the traditional.
Back in the day, when
Who
the
decided
old
this?
astrologers. I don't know. I guess this might be Greek, actually, because the traditional rulers are really from the Hellenistic astrology. And there's actually a really cool way that they decided it, but it requires a graphic, and I don't have that graphic. But the rulership is interesting. It's an interesting thing. And then when the new planets were discovered, when Uranus and Neptune and Pluto were discovered in the late 1800s. Well, Uranus was in the late 1700s, then Neptune in the 1800s, and then Pluto in like the 1930s. They had to do something with them. So they gave some signs dual rulers, right? And some astrologers only think about traditional rulers. Some astrologers only think about modern rulers. I'm a Gemini. I kind of like to think about both, because why not?
Yep.
There's value to be found in both. But I think I default to Mars as the ruler of Scorpio, personally. But that's me. And then that weekend, what's happening? Hold on, I've got too many little things going on today. The moon will be in in Capricorn around the time that all this is happening as well. Sagittarius and Capricorn. So when the moon is in Sagittarius, we always get that little uplift from Jupiter because Jupiter's been in Sag, and we're finishing out that golden Jupiter and Sagittarius transit right now. So that is always like a nice uplifting, hopeful feeling. And then when the moon gets into Capricorn, we start to navigate that tricky territory of the South Node and Saturn and Pluto, and it tends to feel a little heavier. So there may be some fluctuating kind of energy levels also while this is happening. And again, look at your natal chart to see where this astrology actually impacts you, because that's going to make it more personal, right? And then by the weekend, we have the first quarter moon in Capricorn, Saturday the 5th. And so the first quarter moon, of course, is just that kind of point in the lunar cycle where you're really solidifying your intentions or whatever you're working on. Sometimes there, presents an obstacle or a choice, some kind of action you need to take. And it feels like it might be a little heavy with the moon being in Capricorn on the South Node. Katie knows all about that. She's making the funny face.
Yay!
Like, oh, joy. And then, of course, the moon will move past recently stationed direct Pluto as well. So the moon will say hello to Pluto. And then on Sunday, the 6th, early morning Monday for the East Coast, that Mercury in Scorpio is going to move in position to be opposite Uranus and Taurus. And so it feels this whole Uranus, whenever these Uranus oppositions, there can be these like flashes of insight and kind of intuition, but there can also be an anxiety or a nervous energy, especially with Mercury, right? And sometimes like a little bit of mania. It's like when there's too much electricity coming through, and you just get like really kind of buzzy. That's possible. But I also think that there may be some really interesting insights, kind of like flashes of intuition or, unexpected, aha moments, which is always really nice. And again, with Mercury and Scorpio, we're going deep. So we're going deep within the psyche to get these insights. And Scorpio wants to heal things. Scorpio wants to transform things and regenerate things. So I think it's going to be really important to get enough rest. I mean, we're moving into autumn, so I think it's always good to get enough rest, but for the nervous system, to support the nervous system so that you can get the deep work done without feeling overtaxed and overstressed. Does that make, what I mean, right?
Yep.
Yep. Any thoughts about any of that first week?
I mean, I just keep thinking about the butterfly.
Talk to me. Tell us about the butterfly.
Yeah, so in the Flower Revolution, this is the first month that we're releasing creature essences, and I will emphasize no creatures were harmed in the making. But we worked with a lot of butterflies in order to make this elixir. And yeah, I mean, everyone has seen a butterfly, like the way it moves and it flutters in and out, kind of, darts into a flower and darts back out. And they're really like light on their feet and are on their wings, and like light touch, land and leave. And so that's helping us really stay, actually like not get too deep, like really just kind of like touch in, touch out. And not that we need to like avoid anything, but rather than just like spend 5 hours perseverating on something and overthinking it, trying to figure it out, trying to understand what you can't understand, just kind of like going in, landing, and coming back out, and then revisiting when you can.
Mm-hmm. So again, like pulled into the whirlpool.
Yeah, keeping it light and allowing like, butterflies are moving through spaciousness and sky. It's like when you kind of just like touch in, touch out, then what's left is like spaciousness for those flashes of insight and wisdom versus like getting there through like a lot of heavy reflection and thinking. And does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. I started taking that essence elixir when the sun moved into Libra. I like to change elixirs when the sun moves. For me, it feels good. Yeah. And then that day I happened to pun a bunch of butterflies on a plant, and I was watching this one butterfly in particular. And what I was also noticing that I thought was pretty interesting was as the butterfly was moving across the flower, and like there was something about the way its little feet, the nimbleness of it, and its little antennas were moving up and down. And also there's something about the way it was opening and closing its wings. Like it was part of this process. And it almost seemed, I don't know what the wings do for it, but it almost feels like circulation, or it's almost like pumping the energy through, or like you take it in and then it like circulates. And then on the wing of the butterfly, it was so like glittery and like magical looking. And it was, I don't know, it was this whole moment I was having with the butterflies and the bees, but there was something about that movement and the lightness, but then this like movement of the wings to like thing, I don't know.
Well, and you've heard that saying, right? That, that we're also kind of inextricably interconnected, that a butterfly's wings flapping on one side of the earth changes the climate on the other side. So it's like action that's taking place that creates an effect, so to speak.
It's probably really good that Mars is in Libra while all this Scorpio stuff is going on, because that might like and maybe there'll be some blocks to going as deep as you want. And like you said, instead of like trying to go in, like take a little bit and be with it and then go back in naturally. It almost reminds me of like the difference between, and I like both of these types of touch, but like a deep tissue massage, which can feel amazing and be absolutely right. But then there's like subtle work like craniosacral and myofascial, where you can just touch one spot and just hold it and everything softens and opens, and it's a very light touch. So it feels like knowing when to massage in and when to like hold and let things soften almost as well.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Agreed.
Love it. And then for those people, sorry, out there who don't have the butterfly.
Oh yeah, if you're not in the Flowerlounge and you don't have the butterfly, that's no big deal. I mean, it's an awesome program, but
yes,
if you don't have it, then my recommendation would be Joy Juice. This Joy Juice is just, I mean, if you use it 5 times today, by the time you get to the end of the day, you're already noticing that you're laughing more and making other people laugh. And it's about play and letting your inner child play, and laughter and joy, and being able to get lots of stuff done, but being able to have fun doing it versus getting all like serious about it.
Serious. That's so
you know
great.
What's funny? I have been noticing myself
getting serious.
Like I always kind of like joke about, Joy Juice is for when people get that like furrowed brow, between their eyebrows.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I have noticed myself doing that a lot this week. So if you don't want to solidify those lines in between your eyebrows, Joy Juice is good. Just
put it on your third eye.
Yep. You ever like look at yourself in the computer, or somebody, or like someone looks at you and you realize that you've got that like really furrowed brow, where you can see yourself in the screen and you're like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for me, it's more like, God, I'm so rosy, but no, it is. Yes, I do know. And the Joy Juice is lovely. It smells so good, and it feels kind of like a butterfly. It just has that energy of lightening things up. And I really do think humor is such good medicine. Like when we just forget to laugh, I mean, that's just the saddest thing, not to avoid things, not to like not feel your feelings, but to remember to laugh and to find joy, right? It's both and. So, all right. Well, I think it's good for us for this month. I love it. we move into the second week of October, and this is going to be, the week's going to end in a full moon. So the energy will be building all week long, that lunar energy. And I already talked about that Mercury and Uranus. And then Tuesday on the 8th, there's another planet shift. Venus moves from Libra, where she's super happy, super just like really has a lot of power in Libra, into Scorpio, where she, like Mars in Libra, is not necessarily in the most comfortable position. She's in a sign that's ruled by Mars, and Mars is in a sign that's ruled by Venus. So in astrology, this is called mutual reception, okay, when the planets are in each other's signs, and it can be a source of strength. However, since both of these planets are technically not in good placements, I've decided that it could be mutual deception if we don't watch out. Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
But with Venus and Scorpio, in addition to all the like buzzwords of intensity, intimacy, jealousy, obsession, like dominance and power struggles, and just kind of like Scorpio territory, love and money, right? That's what it's about. Let's think back to like a year ago, almost exactly. Hold on, I'm going to pull out a scroll. I feel like some kind of scribe in a library somewhere.
Oh, I think you said you're pulling out a squirrel.
No wabi-sabi squirrels today. A scroll. Yes, it was, in fact, when was Our Lady of Love in Scorpio? Yes, she was here. She went into Scorpio last September, and then Venus went retrograde in early Scorpio. So almost a year ago, Venus went retrograde in Scorpio, right? So I don't know. Venus has just started emerging in the evening sky. Venus was not in view all summer for like 2.5 months because of her transit behind the sun. And so Venus is now coming into view, and she's in this place where it's not her favorite place to be. And also she was retrograde here a year ago. So wouldn't be surprised if for the first week or so that Venus is in Scorpio, that there may be some things popping up from the past, or some kind of finishing up something or something is coming up out of, again, I keep saying out of the woodwork, but she's retracing through that area where she went retrograde. And in some places, these first 10 degrees of Scorpio where she was retrograde is called, what do they call it? The Via Combusta. It's a really like gnarly little passageway in Scorpio, the ancient
combustible path.
Something like that. I think it's the Via Combusta is the name of it. I should know that, but for whatever reason.
Combustible path.
Yeah, well, it's like it's hot. It's a hot, like intense territory, and she went retrograde there last year. Now she's up out of, in that transition between morning to evening sky, and she's in a place of not necessarily super strength. So if you're feeling kind of wonky for a week, if you find like, God, I thought I navigated these weird feelings before. Why are they coming back? Why am I tripping? Or why all of a sudden do I feel really insecure about my bank account, right? Or why do I not trust my partner right now? It could just be like, give it a week or so. I feel like the first week while she's in there is going to be a little touchy potentially, depending on your chart. But I find it very interesting, with the mutual reception or deception going on, the retrograde that was there a year ago, Pluto just stationing direct. I don't know, just feels like it might be a little icky for a minute, but it won't last. Venus won't be there forever, and she'll be out of these first 10 degrees within like 10 days because she moves like a degree a day. So
deception meaning feeling like others aren't being truthful with you.
That's one way to look at it. Yeah. And that would be something that would definitely show up in a Venus and Scorpio, just like not trusting people, really. So just noticing what's arising in you. Mercury already moved into Scorpio, right? And this is within a couple of days of Venus moving into Scorpio as well. Mercury is in the shadow of the retrograde. Mercury's retrograde will be from 11 degrees Scorpio to 27 degrees. That's the area in your chart where Mercury will be retrograde. And so Mercury gets into the shadow right around right before, a few days after Venus is entering in Scorpio. So Scorpio, oh dear, Scorpio. Okay. So there's that to contend with. And then what do I have next on here? Oh, and then we have the weekend. This is a tricky little weekend. So let's just look at it. Saturday, Venus in Scorpio, she gets into that opposition with Uranus. Remember I talked about that like excitability or that nervous tension, right? So before it might have been in your mind or in the way you were communicating might have felt kind of frantic. And now there may be some excitement about something, but it might feel kind of unstable, you know how, and it's almost the full moon in Aries as well on this weekend. So there's a lot of energy building. There's an opposition to Uranus. And also on that same day, the moon and Mars are in opposition. So I just think it's a kind of an intense weekend. I wrote down that words may feel like sharp arrows, but the silences will speak louder than the words. And that I feel like there's going to be this fluctuation energetically between like hot and cold, like things burn really hot and then they kind of freeze up, or, you know, or you might find yourself swinging to extremes. The full moon is on Sunday, right on the heels of that opposition for Venus. And I actually want to look at the full moon chart while I talk. Where is it? Full moon in Aries. Okay, so the full moon in Aries is on Sunday the 13th. It will probably be, that's on the West and East Coast, although it may be like early morning in other parts of the world on Monday. And we've got the sun in Libra and the moon in Aries. So it's a fire full moon. Aries is ruled by Mars and Mars is in Libra. So there may be a lot of kind of hot energy and like intensity and impulsiveness, right? But it might feel like it's actually difficult to do the thing that you want to do because Mars is a little hampered over there in Libra, right? The moon and sun in this chart are also both square to Pluto in Capricorn. There's this tension, right? There's really, and what there is a beautiful opportunity with the full moon in Aries to really move past some blocks if you don't use the usual tactics, if you find yourself in a place of disagreements, right? Because the moon and the sun are on that Aries, like me, and Libra, like we. And there's also Mercury and Saturn are having a conversation as well. So things kind of feel a little faded, you know, or you might feel a little boxed in. And, you know, that restriction, the restrictive energy of Saturn. This is where the butterfly medicine comes in, Katie, because instead of trying to figure it out, right, back up, right? Mars is in Libra, get some space, go and like adjust your nervous system, right? Try not to get into conversations if you're feeling super reactive. You need to stabilize your nervous system and try to have the conversation when you're feeling more grounded, right? And then that Mercury and Saturn aspect might help. You got to kind of be a grown-up and like be an adult and take responsibility and not just act like a child. And the moon will pass over Chiron when the moon is in Aries. So it'll activate that Chiron retrograde as well. What do you think?
Sounds great.
Because what can, you know, and maybe just like watching how the butterfly navigates, and that can help you almost be like a metaphor.
Well, also, I mean, think about how far butterflies travel. If they go through several generations by the time, I know this, I'm like getting super nerdy here, geeky about
Please nerd out. Just nerd out.
Let's say like a monarch leaves Canada and it goes, you know, makes its way through the US and down to Morelia in Mexico, where it goes every year. And then by the time it comes all the way back up into Canada, it's like the great grandchild of the one originally who set out to go south. So like
epigenetics, baby.
Yeah. And I think we look at them as like really light creatures, but damn, they can haul ass too.
Totally. What's their lifespan?
Ooh, that is a great question. I think it's I have that somewhere, but I can't remember.
You know,
it would probably be like a quarter of a year.
You know how you stumble across funny things on Facebook sometimes, like random little animal videos? I stumbled across a video about this young woman who rescued a butterfly who had a wing torn, and so it couldn't fly anymore, like real fly. And so she took it home and she let it, like she would put out fruit and things like that. And it lived with her for many, many weeks and would hang out with her. And she had videos in this video where she had it with her, like on the train. So I don't know. I feel like there's something about, I mean, the butterfly is also one of those symbols of transformation, right? Because you have to melt down. You have to break down and completely melt down in order to go from that caterpillar stage to the butterfly, right? And it's a softening, it's a letting go. I feel like that is really all of this butterfly medicine and these metaphors, whether you're taking butterfly elixir or not, is probably really good.
Rebirthing.
There really is a beautiful opportunity to rebirth something with this full moon, but you're going to have to move through the reactivity and the anger and the outrage that's really old and get in the present moment, right?
Well, that sounds fun.
Life is presenting us with many fun opportunities. The astrology is just not going to let up for a while. There'll be moments of reprieve. There always are, but we're just headed into that, headed into 2020, people. I can't stop the train now. Okay. Now we're on to next. Next stop would be week 3. And we begin with on Monday, the 14th. And boy, doesn't the week start off with a lovely Sun-Pluto square. It gets exact on Monday. I feel like there's this kind of full moon hangover happening. The moon has moved into Taurus, which means it makes a conjunction with Uranus. So you may be feeling a little wired and tired on Monday, right? And just kind of low energy. They're also, anyone who didn't watch the butterflies over the weekend and who, really is still kind of feeling really a lot of heat and a lot of frustration may be acting it out on you. There may be some hidden agendas or some manipulation or some kind of, foul play. I would definitely, I'm not saying bad things are going to happen, but a Sun square Pluto on a Monday morning after a full moon like that, I think there might be some people that are not very happy. So don't take it personally if someone is mean to you because they got issues. Okay.
There's that show that everybody talks about. There are a couple of people at the office here who have watched it and just like love it. And
which one?
I watched a couple episodes and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm wasting my life. It's called The Office. Right?
Oh, that's an old show.
I know. So this is like reminding me of like, I don't remember their names, but so-and-so puts like so-and-so stapler in a big mold of Jell-O. Foul play,
like exactly. Like it doesn't have to be super nasty, but who wants to like retrieve their stapler from a bowl of Jell-O, right? I have a soft spot for The Office. My daughter used to love to watch The Office. That's one of those shows that if you're really like just kind of bored and want to numb out, watch a rerun of The Office, especially Cafe Disco, one of my favorite episodes. But I digress. Actually, I don't digress. You digress. But yes, look out. Hide your staplers, everyone, because bowl full of Jell-Os on Monday. Or maybe if you're that person, you're just going to take some Jell-O to work and put some staplers in Jell-O. You'll feel a lot better. Tuesday, though, the energy really shifts. There's this really nice trine, that kind of flow energy between Mercury and Scorpio and Neptune and Pisces. So I feel like there's a lot of, well, your little eyes did a funny thing there. What are you doing? Trying to find the flow? Where's the trine?
Sounds very exciting, but I have no idea what it means.
Well, it's creative thinking. I think it's heightened intuition. I think there might be some like really like good conversations, like deep conversations, and you're just feeling like things, like you're feeling connected with the people that you're talking to. I think it's a really nice day for all kinds of like writers and artists and musicians and meditators. And it doesn't have to just be on Tuesday, because that aspect is kind of coming into play, you know. So you might be feeling this all weekend long when everybody else is having Jello wars. You might just be like making art, right? Not war. So, but by Tuesday, the aspect is exact, and it's in water, right? Mercury is in Scorpio, that's water. Neptune is in Pisces, that's water. That's like depth and like all one connection and mysticism and alchemy. I don't know. It's kind of cool. It'll connect two parts of your chart, right? Scorpio and Pisces. It'll bring a nice flow between those parts of your life. So I just think there might be some deep intuition. I think it'll be interesting dreams. I've been having really interesting dreams. Someone told me their birth time in a dream recently. It's kind of interesting. Somebody I don't know. And I cast their chart. And
in your dream?
Yeah, and this person had I've heard this person say that they had a Scorpio rising with Uranus on the ascendant, and then I cast the chart for the birth time they told me, and that's what it was. It was a Scorpio rising with Uranus on the ascendant chart.
Ooh.
I know. So like stuff like that, you know, you might just get some really interesting messages in your dreams. Never discount the information that comes through, especially on Tuesday, October 15th. Sleep with some mugwort under your pillow Monday night and see what happens. And so that's just the biggest aspect that week. Then the moon moves through Taurus and Gemini. Of course, the moon is waning, so we're starting to kind of exhale and kind of let go. By the weekend, so that's the 19th, on Saturday, the moon is in Cancer. And on that day, Mercury makes a nice little sextile to Pluto. And so again, there might be some insights into some communication patterns, right? Because Mercury is in Scorpio, slowing down and getting deep. And with Pluto, we talked a lot about Pluto at the beginning. There's just some, you know, maybe you're going to get some just, like you kind of see the deeper pattern beneath communication, or the way your mind works, or the way that some conversation has been happening might help you get some good strategy, perhaps. And then on Sunday, the 20th, Venus in Scorpio makes a little connection with Saturn in Capricorn, which might have you feeling a little more stable in your relationships and finances. You might have, you know, feeling a little more secure. At the same time, for some people, it might feel a little restrictive, but in general, a sextile is a friendly aspect. And so I just feel like it might put some ground under your feet if you've been feeling a little uncertain. And with that ground under your feet, that's always a good day to like look at your budget when you're not feeling freaked out about it, but when you're feeling a little more like brave, like especially if it's something you're avoiding looking at, be a good day to tune in with that. Or anything in your Scorpio house in your chart, like anything that you're kind of, I haven't been able to go there. You might be feeling a little more stability and a little more security and being able to kind of look at it. And plus, you know, the moon is waning, and so things aren't as pressurized as they were the week before. How's that
So look at your money situation or anything you've been avoiding.
Sure, why not? Yeah. Yeah. Money, Venus. Sex. Love. Obsession. Okay.
Wait, is Scorpio about love or is it just about sex?
Well, ask a Scorpio. You think Scorpios can't fall in love?
Oh, I'm sure teasing. They can.
They're very, very passionate, very deeply, intensely want, you know, that song, All of You, why not take, or All of Me, why not take all of me? It's like that. I want all of you. I have a South Northern Scorpio, so I have a lot of Scorpios in my life. And you know what? This is just random, but it's like coming up. I realized that all the 3 acupuncturists I've worked with in my life have been Scorpios. So there's something about me with Scorpios and needles that really works.
Stinging needles.
Yeah. They all had different styles and techniques, but it all like really deep healing with acupuncture. For me, I love acupuncture.
Wow. How interesting.
Yeah, Scorpios, me and Scorpio acupuncturist. It's one of my chapters in my novel. Okay. Monday, the 21st, we have the last quarter moon in Cancer. So we have that kind of turning that corner where really starting to reflect on what it is you're letting go of this lunar cycle. Kind of things are really starting to wind down in the week with the last quarter moon to the new moon. That's on Monday. And then that same day, we've got a Venus-Neptune trine, right? We had the Mercury-Neptune trine, and now it's Venus because Mercury and Venus are both in Scorpio, right? So with this one, we get a dreamy and kind of romantic vibe, a little like, everybody looks so good today, feeling in flow and maybe loving, maybe sexy because it's Scorpio. There is Mars square with the nodes, with the north and the south node. And so it feels like there may be some compromises or adjustments that we need to make in order to kind of, just feel that flow. Like, I don't know that it'll be just flow. I feel like there'll be flow and then some kind of like, little adjustment to kind of keep in the flow, if that makes sense. It's almost like, I don't know, a little chiropractic adjustment or something. But it's a nice feeling. Those Neptune in Pisces trines are pretty dreamy. And then Wednesday, the sun moves into Scorpio. So then we have Mercury and the sun and Venus. And we also have Pallas Athena, an asteroid who's been in Scorpio the whole time, but we haven't really been talking about her. This is an official Scorpio stack or stellium, right? That's a lot of energy there in Scorpio: Sun, Venus, Pallas Athena, Mercury. And so we're into Scorpio season for real, if we weren't before, by the 23rd, Wednesday. So when the sun is in Scorpio, again, this is when the sun lights up your Scorpio house. And with Scorpio, it's really deep healing and transformation. That's the name of the game with Scorpio, right? Regeneration. And I wrote down that we want to go inward to clear out the cobwebs in your psyche. And that what you'll need to navigate through in Scorpio season, and what we kind of always have to navigate through, is where we keep ourselves stuck in like insecurities and resentments. Because Scorpio can really hold on to things for a long time, hold on to an emotion because it's a fixed water sign, right? And I wrote, must navigate through your own personal hell realms or bardo states. Time to take out the garbage. And so you have a whole month, and Mercury's going to do you a big old favor and go retrograde in Scorpio to help you take out the garbage. But it's, not always everybody's favorite time. And I think, again, it's like that butterfly medicine that you were talking about at the beginning, because we kind of create a lot of times our own pain by holding on to suffering, holding on to old resentments and angers and insecurities and things like that. You have anything to say about that? Kind of just in general?
I mean, a helpful practice is just to notice every time that you're doing that, especially this month. Just every time you notice yourself spinning out and really trying to, chew the cud. Do 5 jumping jacks instead.
I love it. Shake it up, baby. Yeah. Do 5 jumping jacks.
I don't know where that came from. That's kind of silly. Or just like in some fresh air.
Move away from it. Don't get sucked down into the whirlpool. I feel like there's like these whirlpools, almost like, well, now I'm thinking about Greek mythology, but but there's like these passages, right, in Greek mythology where these monsters live in the sea and it's like dangerous to navigate. I forget the monster's name right now. It was a sea monster that would like had all these different heads, and it was like there was all these whirlpools, and it would eat people. Like 6 little heads would dart out to like grab the sailors, and sometimes they would take I think once somebody took some sheep to feed the dragon, so you could it's like, do you really want, you have to think about like feeding this energy or strategizing how to navigate it in a new way, right? Because you've probably been down that whirlpool every year around this time, right? Because it's Scorpio season once a year. We all have our personal like area where we kind of get pulled under. And yeah, how can you divert instead of like, you don't have to go under all the time. You really don't, especially if you tend to get stuck under there and you can't breathe.
Come up for air. Next.
Be a butterfly.
Yeah.
Wait till we can talk about next month's elixir, though. But I won't go there because but we're being butterflies this month. And then on Friday, on Venus Day, Venus makes a connection with Pluto that is perhaps, again, like a deepening of emotional bonds, right? Bondage. there is, some connection. It may be really subtle with the sextiles. It's not like a trine. It's not like you're like, yeah, let the good times roll. It's kind of like, you want to look for that silver lining sometimes because it's easy to not see it, right? Or the little 4-leaf clover, or the little thing that just you could help you divert, don't allow yourself to find that. Does that make sense? You know how you can avoid it when you really get stuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then Sunday's the new moon in Scorpio.
Sunday the 26th, huh?
27th.
Oh, that's right. 27th.
Yeah. It's opposite Uranus. Anything goes. It's because here's one thing about fixed signs. They want to control things. They want things to be stable. Listen, Scorpios out there. Wait, my clavicle wanted to say something, but let me pull this up. All my Scorpios, I love you. I love my Scorpios. I have so many Scorpios in my life. I have a South Node in Scorpio. I am not dissing you, but you all got control things. You like to control the situation. You like to control the narrative. You like to be in charge. And I appreciate that. But with this Uranus opposition on the new moon, things are out of control. Things are beyond your control. So we're kind of sitting with this, paradox of like wanting to control things and really having no control. And there's so much energy in Scorpio, right? We've got the sun and the moon. Venus, Pallas Athena, and Mercury are all conjunct on this, not near the moon, but they're all together. And so and the moon is, it's deep, baby. I wrote ghost busting phantoms from the past, deep clearing healing moon. So I really feel like, again, if you can just be with like, let it die, melt it down so that something new can come from it. If we can kind of move into that higher vibration of Scorpio, which is the Phoenix energy, right? Not the scorpion, let me sting you because you pissed me off, which might be really feeling it with that Uranus opposition. There's that eagle part of Scorpio that kind of gets and rises up, takes a view from a different angle. And then there's that Phoenix energy that alchemizes the toxins and starts something new. And that's what this Scorpio new moon wants. You want to use the heat that you might be feeling or the irritation that might be activated in you to go ahead and burn through something of your own making in order to kind of start fresh with this. Because it's a really, Scorpio wants to heal, wants to transform, wants to regenerate, wants to burn it down in order for it to make the ash that is so fertile in the soil, right? So that's what's happening. It's getting close to Halloween. What do you think for the new moon? What should people do for their little ritual, or how they want to move that energy through, Katie?
I'm just like, take a break. It feels like one thing after another. Like the whole month just feels kind of like, oh my God, when is the,
I don't mean to be a downer.
You're not a downer. It just never lets up. So I would just say, like, take a break.
Mm-hmm. Let it burn, baby.
Take your time.
I'm curious about this Mercury, Pallas Athena, Venus situation opposing Sedna and Vesta. I really think that...
What do you think it means?
I think it means to go, like, if you're going to go deep, don't go deep into like a conflict or an interlock with someone. Go deep into your own body. Go deep, like I would say do a yoga nidra. Do a yoga nidra or a somatic meditation. Like really get very still, right? Scorpio is death and rebirth. If you do something that's very still sometimes and where you're like laying on the earth and letting yourself unwind and like regulating your nervous system, really good insights can come up from that, little flashes from the depths. And that Mercury, Pallas Athena gets like really clear wisdom, Venus all together opposing Vesta and Sedna, which I think can feel a little fractured and kind of confused. So that taking a break doesn't have to mean going anywhere. It could be lying down and really sinking into the earth. And, I happen to like somatic meditations and yoga nidra. I think that would be really good for this new moon and for this weekend, personally.
Get in your body.
Get in your body and go deep in your body, not like into an argument, right? Yeah. And then also, because also on that day of this new moon in Scorpio, another piece of that would be this Mars and Saturn very tight square on the same day. And so that can bring some frustration of things not moving in the way that you want them to, or it's hard to kind of make, you have to make a lot of effort. So again, maybe you get still and you soften and you stop trying to push so hard, and you try a different thing rather than powering through that conversation that's like, you need to stop talking and you can't. You know how that goes sometimes, right? We've all been there. Just do something different. I think it'll be good to help work with that energy, because that's tough energy. That might be bringing some things up for people. I am know what it's going to do in my chart, and I'm prepared to take some alone time all the rest of the year, pretty much. No, I'm going on sabbatical. I'm leaving. I'm going with the butterflies down to, where do they go?
Morelia.
That's where I'm going. See me, I'm going to turn into a monarch.
Well, if anyone wants to see them, I forgot. If you don't have like a botanical garden or butterfly garden in your area, there's a movie. If you remember when I did the book, I had a collaborator, Louis Schwartzberg, who's a filmmaker. He has a really cool Netflix special called, oh Lord, forgot the name. Wings of Life. And they show they show a lot of things like flowers blooming and all kinds of things, but they show the migration of the monarchs in case anyone wants to see it. It's really beautiful.
That's cool. They stop through Pismo Beach. There's a whole monarch preserve. They stop on the way. Yeah, wow. They do. I've never been, which is so weird. But you know how sometimes the thing that is near you, you just end up not doing. Yeah. But I want to try to go there because I think it'd be cool to see all those butterflies.
Yeah, in Morelia, sometimes the branches are so heavy with thousands of monarchs that the branches break.
What? Oh my God, butterflies breaking branches.
Crazy, right?
That's totally crazy. Wow. Small but mighty, the butterfly. All right. Morelia, here I come. It looks like there's a few more days of the month. we have
there yet, and I'm just tired.
You're like, I'm out of here.
Much going deep.
All right, let's wrap it up here. Okay, so Monday the 28th.
Yep.
We're in the last week of October. God, doesn't October feel like a long ass month? It does have 31 days, so I suppose it is on the longer side as far as months go.
It's so long.
It's like the longest month ever. Monday, we got the sun in Scorpio making an opposition to our friend Uranus. Now, Uranus is a liberator. Uranus is really, wants to free you. Uranus is an awakening kind of energy. But what might be happening, I feel like all the Mondays this month, you come back from the weekend, you're like, oh, right? You've got the new moon hangover. And but with Uranus energy, you might be having a little bit of nervous tension, because the sun is vitality, right? And Uranus has a strong impact on the nervous system. And so you might be feeling a little irritable. You also might be feeling kind of zippy, right? And it depends how it works with you. You might have a really kind of surprising and unexpected surprise on Monday. That's right. Your stapler might be a bowl of Jell-O again. But it could be an exciting encounter. Maybe you run into somebody at the cafe and you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in 6 months. How are you? Or, just something popping up out of the, what was that? Woodwork. That's right. Popping up out of the woodwork. But there can be, with the Uranus energy, some nervousness and some kind of frazzled kind of energy. So, and again, with a new moon is there's no moon. Like it's a very like ebb time. And actually the moon is quite close to Earth around the new moon. So you feel the moons. Like sometimes when it lines up, it's called a super moon, but it's not quite a super moon, but you can like really feel the energy when the moon is closer to Earth. So there's just and we're all feeling everything anyway, because it's Scorpio season. So just really noticing your energy levels and trying to modulate your nervous system as you need to. You might find a surprise on Monday. And then on Wednesday, the 30th, Mercury and Venus connect in Scorpio. They make a conjunction. And so the mind and the heart want to go deep. You need to slow down to listen, because Mercury is just about to station retrograde, which means that Mercury is pretty much sitting still, right? So rushing through it, you're not going to get that connection. Slow down. This is a slowing down time, listening and connecting and letting that heart and that mind make a connection. But it's like, the body moves so much slower than our brains, than our thoughts do. And so sometimes you really need to be a lot slower in order to actually feel that connection. And I think that's going to be the case this week. Like, slow down. And then on Halloween, trick or treat, Mercury stations retrograde. So we've got Mercury retrograde from the 31st of October through the 20th of November. Again, that's between 11 degrees Scorpio and 27 degrees. So right now, Mercury stations at 27 degrees. We'll go all the way back to 11 degrees Scorpio and then station direct and move all the way back through, right?
What the heck does all that mean for the person?
I say, get ready for secrets to be exposed or pushed down deeper. Deep conversations, looking at the skeletons in the closet. Deep. We want to go deep. We want to you want to know the meaning of life. You're going to go into some kind of deep territory in your Scorpio house if you haven't already, with Mercury there. And it's all the usual things with Mercury. Communications, travel, money, right? You want to get to the bottom of things. You got to do some review, right? It's a time to go inward. It's time to go backward. It's time to go down. Mercury's going into the underworld. And this Mercury retrograde, there's something really cool happening in November on 11/11, actually, there is a Mercury transit across the sun. So it doesn't happen that often, although it happens more frequently with Mercury than Venus, where if you have to wear your little, solar eclipse glasses or whatever, you can't just look at the sun because you'll go blind or you'll damage your eyesight, but you'll be able to see this like little dot that is Mercury moving across the sun. I remember when I saw the Venus transit in 2012.
I remember that.
Right?
Too. I was looking up through a telescope. Yeah, that was amazing.
Right? It's like that, but with Mercury.
Oh my God. I think I have that on my first Instagram post ever.
Really?
Ever. On the LOTUSWEI channel.
Oh my God, I want to see that. I'm going to show you a picture after we're done recording, because I have a picture on a book that's about this that you'll like to see. Sorry, everyone. In any event, that's kind of cool. And it's on 11/11. And, remember that Mercury's a magician. It's Hermes, right? So there's alchemy at play. Hermes. Or herpes, depending on how deep and dirty you get.
Who's Hermes?
Hermes is Mercury.
Okay.
Hermes is he's a magician. It's the magician. It's a very magical alchemical energy. He's a virus. Okay, it's Hermes. Get your fashion on, girls. No, it's the Greek name. Mercury's a Roman name. Hermes is the Greek name. Mercury is one of those gods who has an all-access pass, can go to the upper world, can be among the mortals, and can go into the underworld. He's magical. He ferries people here and there. And so there's a lot of alchemy and magic and transformation available in this retrograde, and we'll get more into it next month. But it's pretty cool. I would start, see if there's any astronomy clubs or something near you, so that on the 11th, which is a Monday, And that's the day when it's the Cazimi, right? Because Mercury is going across the sun.
How fun. That's right.
Right? And I feel like that's a very transformative energy to kind of burn away any kind of, impurities, that clearing. So, but it all starts on Halloween. So trick or treat, Mercury is going retrograde. And on that day, the moon is in Capricorn and going over the south node of the moon. So it's a little spooky, but kind of fun if you let it.
Do you do Halloween?
Do I do Halloween? What does that mean?
Do you get dressed up?
No, not usually. Do you?
No. What's your favorite costume?
I don't have one. Do you?
Pantomime? Pippi Longstocking? Ewok from Star Wars?
You dress up then? You were an Ewok?
Oh, God, when I was a kid.
Oh, from back in the day? Oh, gosh. Was I ever a child? I remember being a cat once, a little black cat. I like that.
Aww.
I didn't have a lot. I didn't have a lot of fancy costumes.
Oh, no. You just make them.
I don't make things except for a mess. I cook. I'm not crafty. And my mother, anyway, I'm not going to go down this road with you. But I really wish I could see you in an Ewok costume. I really want to see you as an Ewok.
My mom made me one when I was, I don't know, probably 5 years old.
My mom didn't get crafty like that. So, I have a friend that makes costumes like that for her daughter. And I had a roommate once that made a Dalmatian costume for my daughter in like an afternoon. It was kind of, and then Sabita, she hated the costume because it was puffy pants and she was so sour. I'm sorry, I'm exposing her. Never mind. But she was I think we have a picture of her. She's like this on Halloween. She's like embarrassed to be in the costume. Expose. See, secrets coming out of the woodwork. It's the Scorpio energy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, true.
Anyway, well, how about you out there? What's your favorite costume? We want to know.
Yeah, we want to know. So on social media, post up on the tiles or in the stories or DM us or respond.
Tag us.
You're out there listening.
Mm-hmm. Tag us and show us your costumes and maybe a Mercury retrograde in Scorpio costume.
What?
I don't know. Somebody's going to do it. You watch. Somebody's going to be Mercury or Hermes, the magician, and they're going to be retrograde in Scorpio. It's a concept. I had a friend who had a costume once, and she was the fog in San Francisco. And that was a cool costume because she had like all this tulle. Is it called tulle? What's that fabric called? Tooling all around her, like the fog, right?
Wow.
And I think she was in a leotard or something.
I would have just gotten a smoke machine and plugged it in.
Walked around being foggy. Heavy metal concert, Katie Hess. Yeah. But I like concept costumes. Yeah. So yeah. Tag us. DM us. Whatever she said, Katie.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I got. I mean, actually, I have a lot more, but I need to stop talking now.
All right. Happy fluttering, butterflies. Transformation and taking.
Welcome to October. Anything you want to announce, my friend, before we vanish? Anything happening over in LOTUSWEI land that we should know about?
I mean, I think there's still one more bed available for the retreat in Costa Rica that I keep trying to drag you into, but maybe next year. I think there's one more place available. And then also I would love to mention that, as things get cooler and people who are living in cold places, if you get you want to go south and feel a warmer place, you're welcome this winter to come down to Phoenix. I'm really excited about doing wellness retreats. Come visit, stay at your favorite Airbnb or hotel, and let's put together some sort of yummy, lovely, rejuvenative mini urban retreat.
At the Sound Center?
Yeah.
With your practitioners and whatnot?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, Costa Rica's great, but it's all the same, right? Come to Phoenix. What about you? Anything you want to share?
Well, you can, if you want to go even deeper into astrology, come on to By the Light of the Moon, my monthly astrology little moon club. I do videos and audios and astrology and tarot, and we have a live call every month. So that's fun.
And singing.
Oh, yeah, I am going back to musical theater class this month and also a dance class. So yeah, that's how I'm going to transform the energy. I'm going to sing and shake my ass.
Do you want to share the name of the school?
It's Ignite Booty School. It's for twerking and whatnot. And yeah, I just feel the need to shake things up and really want to get like in the lower chakras and in my lower body and kind of grounded. And
it's really good for the lower back.
You know, I feel like it will be.
Back issues, you just need to like work those gluteus muscles.
Yeah, and the pelvis, like opening the pelvis. And that will help with singing, because I noticed when I was singing that there was a lot of tension that ran through my body all the way down into like my pelvis. And as a birth worker, a lot of times when women were in labor, we would have them try to open their mouths or soften their jaws or, you know, make their lips more loose, and that would help their bodies open, their pelvis and their cervix. So there's a connection between the mouth and the jaw and the pelvic bowl.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. So I'll be working that. That's how I'm going deep.
Shake your booty and sing. I love it.
Yeah. So that's about it.
Okay. Well, we expect a full report on the next Moonshine.
Oh, I'll have a report already. Yeah. Okay. Well, good to talk as always, Katie. And thanks for listening out there. We appreciate your attention and sharing the episode with people and all that. Thanks for that.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you so much for listening to The Flower Lounge. I'm Katie Hess, and we'll be releasing a new podcast every Wednesday. If you like what you heard, or you know someone who might be touched by our conversation, share it with them. And don't forget to subscribe. To find out what your favorite flowers mean about you, take the quiz at LOTUSWEI.com.